Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about Huygens principle. Excuse me for the pronunciation first. Before discussing about Huygens principle, let us define a new term, wavefront. You might have noticed that when you drop a small stone on a calm pool of water, water waves spread out from the point of impact in all directions. Right, let this be the point of impact where the stone had a contact with that calm pool of water. Then water waves spread out in all directions. The waves spread out in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, that is in all directions. Okay, now what is the expression for the displacement? What is the expression for the displacement relation in a progressive wave? Water waves are progressing in this direction, no? They will be traveling in all directions and they will be progressing like this. So what is the expression for the displacement relation in a progressive wave? I am writing it as y of xt is equal to some a into sine of kx minus omega t. Okay, I have just written a displacement relation for in a progressive way. Y of xt is equal to a sine of kx minus omega t, where y is actually the displacement of that particle, okay, and x is actually the displacement of the wave, and a, it is the amplitude, y is the displacement in y direction, a is the amplitude of the wave, and this kx minus omega t, no, this kx minus omega t, it is the phase of the wave. Okay, kx minus omega t, this is actually called as the phase of the wave. Now here, the waves are spreading out in all directions now. Okay, the waves are spreading out in all directions from the point where the stone had a contact with the water. Right, now let this wave reached here at this particular point, okay, at a time t equal to t1. That is, this point is x distance away from the point of impact. Okay, so what about the phase at this point? What about the phase at this point? We can write the phase at this point as what? This kx minus omega t is the phase, no? So phase at this point, that is, for example, I am taking this point as A. So phase at the point A is actually what? Kx, because this point is x distance away from the point of impact. Okay, minus omega times t1, t equal to t1, no? So kx minus omega t1 is the phase of the wave at this point. Okay, that is a phase at this point A. Alright, now consider at the same time t equal to t1, let us consider another point here. Okay, another point here, I am taking this as B. So at this point B, which is also x distance away. Okay, this is also x distance away from the point of impact. So at this point B, what about the phase? What about the phase at this point B, which is x distance away from the point of impact? That is the distance from the point of impact to this point B, that is x. So what about the phase at this point? That is k x distance away, no? So x minus omega at the same time we said. So t is equal to t1. So omega t1. Alright. So you see the phase at the point A at t equal to t1 is kx minus omega t1. The phase at the point B at t equal to t1 is kx minus omega t1. Okay. So if we consider a number of points which are x distance away from the point of impact at the same time t equal to t1, their phases will be kx minus omega t1. Okay, we can consider another point here which is also x distance away from the point of impact. We can consider another point here which is also x distance away from the point of impact. Okay, you can consider another point here which is also x distance away from the point of impact. So if we consider a number of points which are x distance away from the point of impact at the same time t equal to t1, then their phases will be the same, that is kx minus omega t1. That is, all these points are in the same phase. Phases are the same, no? So we can say that all these points A, B, then another point C here, D here, E here, etc. Okay, all these points A, B, C, D, etc. are in phase. Now, if we join all these points, which are x distances away from the point of impact, that is from this point, let this point be O. So all these points are, x distance away from the point of impact O. Now if we join all these points, A, B, C, D, E, all these points, we will get a circle. Right, let us join. Okay, when we join all these points which are x distance away from the point of impact, okay, we will get a circle. Here I have just taken some points here, no? They were actually not equal, equal distances away from the O. That is why I got a circle like this, okay? You can see the distance here, it is greater than the distance here. It will not be like that. If you are taking the same distance x from this point to this point, then from this point to this point, from this point to this point, from this point to this point, you will get a circle here. So if we join all these points which are in phase, which are x distances away from O, that is from the point of impact, we will get a circle here. Okay, and all points on such a circle are oscillating in phase. In phase means they are having the same phase. Okay, so all the points on such a circle are oscillating in phase because they are at the same distance away from the source. Source means from the point of impact. Such a locus of points or plane which oscillate in phase is called a wavefront. Okay, that is, a wavefront is defined as surface of constant phase. All these points are in phase. Okay, so if we join all these points, we will get a circle here. So the locus of all these, the points on, all points on this circle are in phase. Okay, so such a locus of points which oscillate in phase is called a wavefront. That is, a wavefront is defined as a surface of constant phase. Okay, everywhere on that surface, the phase will be a constant. Okay, so wavefront is defined as a surface of constant phase. Now, the speed with which the wavefront moves outwards. Okay, this is actually this red one. No, this is actually the wavefront. Now, the speed with which this wavefront moves outwards from the source is called the speed of the wave. Okay, here we got the locus of points on a circle now. That this is actually a two-dimensional case. But if we consider a point source of light, okay, that is a source which emits light. Alright, so if we consider a point source of light emitting waves, a point source of light that emits waves in all directions, that is the three-dimensional case. Then the locus of points which have the same amplitude and vibrate in the same phase are spheres. Okay, here we got that locus of points as a circle. Okay, here we got that locus of points on a circle. This is actually the two-dimensional case. But if we consider the three-dimensional case, we will get a sphere. Okay, so if we consider a point source of light which is emitting waves uniformly in all directions, in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, in all directions. Okay, it's a light source. This emits light in this direction. We can consider a light ray here. We can consider another light ray here. We can consider another light ray here. Okay, this point source emits light waves or light in all uniformly in all directions. That is the three-dimensional case. Okay, then the points or the locus of points which have the same phase are spheres. Okay, and here we have what is known as a spherical wave. Okay, this red one, no, this is the wavefront, and here in the three-dimensional case that will be a spherical one, and that is actually called as a spherical wave. That is, if we have a point source of waves, then the wavefronts are spherical in nature and they will be concentric spherical wavefronts. Okay, all of them will be having the same center. Center of the spherical wavefront is this. Center of the spherical wavefront is this. Then center of the another spherical wavefront, that also will be the same. Okay, that is, if you have a point source of waves, then the wavefronts, corresponding wavefronts are all these ones, no? These are wavefronts. So, wavefronts are spherical in nature and they will be concentric spherical wavefronts. Okay, because all of them will be having the same center. They will be concentric spherical wavefronts. The energy of a wave that travels in a direction perpendicular to the wavefront. That is, the direction of propagation of the wave is perpendicular to the wavefront, or we can say that the direction of the rays of light will be perpendicular to the wavefront. So these are actually the wavefronts or the waves. So if we draw, these are actually concentric wavefronts. So if you want to get the direction of that ray of light, it will be perpendicular to that wavefront. Okay, these are spherical wavefronts now. So first of all, we just want to draw a tangent to mark that 90 degree actually. So anyway, the light rays will be perpendicular to the wavefronts. Okay, our wavefronts will be perpendicular to the light rays. Now, at a large distance from the source, a small portion of the sphere can be considered as a plane, and we have what is known as a plane wave. That is, at a large distance from the source, a small portion of the spherical wave can be approximated by a plane wave. That is, if at a larger distance from the source, okay, at a larger distance from the source, that is just like sources at infinity. So at larger distance from the source, the rays can be considered as parallel to each other, no? Okay, we can consider the rays as parallel to each other. That is, if the source is at infinity, that is at a larger distance from the source, the rays can be considered as parallel to each other. Okay, now what about the nature of the wavefronts? It will be a locus of points or the surface perpendicular to these rays, no? Okay, because the energy of a wave travels in a direction perpendicular to the wavefront, and the direction of the rays of light will be perpendicular to the wavefront. So, at a larger distance from the source, when the source is at infinity, the rays can be considered as parallel to each other. So, the corresponding wavefront, that is the locus of points or the surface perpendicular to these parallel rays, that will be like what? They will be like this. That is, the wavefronts will be plane wavefronts like this. Okay, because rays are parallel to each other and along this direction. So, wavefronts will be perpendicular to these rays. So, perpendicular to these rays means they will be plane wavefronts. Okay, the wavefronts will be plane wavefronts. So, the wavefronts corresponding to the parallel rays are plane wavefronts. Alright. Now, if we know the shape of the wavefront at t equal to 0, then Huygens principle allows us to determine the shape of the wavefront at a later time tau. Okay, that is, if we know the shape of the wavefront, spherical or plane wavefront, whatever be the shape of that wavefront, if we know the shape of the wavefront at t equal to 0, then Huygens principle allows us to determine the shape of the wavefront at a later time, say t equal to tau. Okay, here you just consider a diverging wave which is diverging away from this point O. Let F1, F2 represent a portion of the spherical wavefront at t equal to 0. Okay, it is only this F1, F2, it is only a portion of the spherical wavefront. The rest is here. The rest is, I have just drawn with the dotted lines here. Okay, so F1, F2, this is actually a portion of that spherical wavefront at t equal to 0. The rest part is here. Okay, it is a spherical wavefront now, so rest part is here. Alright, now according to Huygens principle, each point of the wavefront is a source of secondary disturbance. That is, there can be so many points on this wavefront, no? We can consider 1 point here, we can consider 1 point here, 1 point here, 1 point here, 1 point here. So, there are so many points on this wavefront. And according to Huygens principle, each point of the wavefront is a source of secondary disturbance. That is a wave itself. Because wave is a disturbance that travels through a medium, no? Okay, so here we have a primary source of the wave. It is a point source, that is why we are getting spherical wavefronts. Okay, and here we have drawn only a portion of that spherical wavefront, that is the solid line. Okay, the rest is here, which is drawn with the dotted lines. We are just considering only this much portion of that spherical wavefront. That is why it is drawn with the solid line, and it is F1, F2. Alright, so here we have a primary source of the wave. that is O. Then it is a point source, that is why we are getting a spherical wavefront here, and we have drawn only a portion of the spherical wavefront, that is F1, F2. Okay, now according to Huygens principle, each point, you can consider one point here, you can consider one point here. Okay, there will be so many points on this wavefront. So according to Huygens principle, each point of the wavefront is a source of secondary disturbance, and the wavelets emanating from these points spread out in all directions with the speed of the wave. And these wavelets emanating from the wavefront are usually referred to as secondary wavelets. Secondary wavelets. Okay, not wavefront, secondary wavelets. Alright, and if we draw a common tangent to all these spheres, we obtain a new position of the wavefront at a later time. That is what the Huygens principle says. Don't get confused, let me explain. This is a point source. Okay, I'm just naming it as a primary source. Okay, this O is actually a point source. This is the primary source. Okay, primary source of the wave. And here we are getting a spherical wavefront. Okay, we have just taken only a portion F1, F2 of the spherical wavefront. Okay, the rest is here, but we have taken only this much portion of that spherical wavefront. Alright, there will be so many points on this wavefront now. Each point of this wavefront will act as a source of secondary disturbance. That is, each point will act like a source of another wave, which are actually called as wavelets. Okay, this point will act as a source of another wave. So, there will be another spherical wave produced here. There will be another spherical wavefront will be produced here like that. I mean, not waves, I mean disturbances produced here. Alright, so each point of the wavefront will act as another source. I mean, will act as a source of another wave, which are actually called as wavelets. So, these points are the sources of wavelets. Okay, wavelets are actually the small oscillations produced by each, each point. Okay, small oscillations produced by each point of the wavefront, that is actually the wavelets, and they are actually called as secondary wavelets. Okay, there can be so many points on the wavefront, and according to Huygens principle, each point of the wavefront will act as a secondary disturbance. That is, each point will act as a source of another wave. This will act as a source of another wave. This will act as a source of another wave. Okay, I mean that is actually called as another wave now. That is actually called as wavelets. Alright, so wavelets are actually the small oscillations produced by each point of the wavefront and are actually called as secondary wavelets. These wavelets now, they will spread out in all directions with the speed of the wave. So here these things now, these things are actually the secondary wavelets. Okay, and these points are actually the secondary, the source of secondary disturbances. Okay, all these things are actually the wavelets, secondary wavelets, and these points now, these are actually the sources of the secondary disturbances. Now, you see both these figures are the same. I have just drawn the secondary wavelets quite bigger here. That's the only difference between this figure and this figure. Okay, these two are the same figures. Okay, these were the secondary wavelets. I have just drawn those secondary wavelets quite bigger here. That's all. Now you see here we have the primary source. It produces spherical wavefronts, and we have considered only a portion of that spherical wavefront F1, F2. And we said according to Huygens principle, there can be so many points on this spherical wavefront, and each point on the spherical wavefront that will act as a source of the secondary disturbance. So these are the sources of the secondary disturbances, and these produces secondary wavelets. Okay, so here I have just drawn this part of the secondary wavelet and this part of the secondary wavelets using solid line. The rest part I have just drawn with the dotted lines because we are not considering that now. Alright, here I have drawn a solid line to represent that secondary wavelet, and here also we have a solid line, and the rest I have just drawn with the dotted line. We are not considering that, that's why. Alright, so you see the secondary wavelets, okay, all these are the secondary wavelets. They spread out in the forward direction. Okay, you can see here the solid line actually represents the wavelets, the portion of the wavelets moving in the forward direction, and they actually as well as moving or as well as spreading out in the backward direction. That is actually, you can see that these portions actually represents the portions of the wavelets in the backward direction. Okay, so the secondary wavelets, they spread out in the forward direction as well as in the backward direction. They spread out in the forward direction as well as in the backward direction. Okay, we already said that this F1, F2, it is actually a portion of the spherical wavefront. Okay, portion of this complete spherical wavefront at t equal to 0. Now, if we wish to determine the shape of the wavefront after some time, say t equal to tau, we just want to draw spheres of radius v tau from each point on the spherical wavefront. Okay, why we want to draw the spheres of radius v tau? Why v tau? Okay, we want to draw the radius v tau, spheres of radius v tau. Why? Because you see the speed of the wave. Let it be v. Okay, so v is also the speed of the wavelet. So, what will be the distance travelled by the wavelet? These are the wavelets, okay, secondary wavelets. So, if v is the speed of the wave, then the same v will be the speed of these wavelets. So, what will be the distance travelled by these wavelets in a particular time t? Because we have this equation, no, distance is equal to velocity or speed. Okay, distance is equal to speed into time, because speed is equal to distance divided by time. So, distance is equal to speed into time. Speed, here it is v, time I am taking, that is we want to find out the shape of that wavefront at t equal to tau. So, we want to know about the distance travelled by these wavelets during this time. So, the time is tau. Okay, so v tau, that's the distance travelled by the wave by taking the time t equal to tau will be what? V tau. Okay, that is the wavelets travel a distance v tau from this point forward and backward. So, the wavelets travel a distance v tau from this point forward as well as backward. Okay, it travels a distance v tau in the forward direction. It travels the same distance v tau in the backward direction. This wavelet also travels in the travels a distance v tau in the forward direction and travels a distance v tau in the backward direction. So, from here to here, that's the radius. No, that is why we are drawing radius. Spheres of radius v into tau. Okay, now what we want to do is we just want to draw a common tangent. Okay, to all these spheres, we want to draw the tangents for all these spheres and we want to join. We want a common tangent. Okay, we can draw a tangent here at this point, we can draw a tangent here at this point, we can draw a tangent at this point. But we want to consider a common tangent. Okay, by joining all the tangents, we should, that tangent must pass through all these spheres. Okay, we just want a common tangent. So, first of all, we want to draw a common tangent to all these spheres. Okay, so we will obtain the new position of the wavefront at t equal to tau. So, you see, if I am drawing a common tangent, let it be a common tangent, okay. Okay, if we draw a common tangent, that is you want to draw a tangent here, there will be another secondary wavelet here, there will be another secondary wavelet here. Okay, so if we draw a tangent which actually passes through all these points, that will be the common tangent. Okay, when we draw the tangent and when we join them, they will be like a one like this. Okay, so when we draw the common tangent to all these spheres, we will obtain a new position. Okay, this green one, this is the new position of the wavefront at t equal to tau. So, this is the position of the wavefront at t equal to 0 and this green one, it is the position of the wavefront at t equal to tau. That is, we are getting a new wavefront here. Let it be, I am taking it as G1, G2. Okay, so we are getting a new wavefront here. G1, G2. So, this is again spherical with this point as the center. Okay, you will get the rest of that spherical wavefront will be here. Okay, rest of that wavefront will be here, but we have just drawn only a part of that spherical wavefront. That's all. Okay, so G1, G2, that will be again a spherical wavefront with this point as the center. So this is actually, this G1, G2 is actually the portion of the new wavefront. The rest is here. G1, G2 is actually the portion of the new wavefront. Now, we actually have the portions of the secondary wavelets here too, no? We have just drawn a common tangent for these spheres, or in the forward directions. The spheres in the forward direction only we have considered to draw this common tangent. Okay, but actually we have these portions also, no? Okay, we have actually these portions. Okay, this one, this one, this one. There will be so many such ones. Okay, so actually we have these portions of the secondary wavelets here. This portion, it is actually away from O, and this portion is actually towards O. Okay, this portion, it is actually towards O. So, if we draw a common tangent here, if we draw, I'm just drawing it with a dotted line. I will explain why I'm using dotted line here. So, this dotted line, that is the common tangent to all these spheres, when we consider these portions. Okay, so if we draw a common tangent here, we get a wave like this. Okay, we get a wave like this. Alright, which can be called as a back wave. So, first to draw that wavefront at t equal to tau, we have just considered the, these portions in the forward direction. But there are actually portions of the wavelets here too. So, when we draw a common tangent here, we get a wave like this, which is actually called as a back wave. Let it be D1, D2. Okay, D1, D2, this is actually called as a back wave. Alright, but Huygens argued that the amplitude of the secondary wavelets, okay, that is maximum. The amplitude of the secondary wavelets is maximum in the forward direction, and it is 0 in the backward direction. Actually, these things are not there like that, he argued. Okay, Huygens argued that the amplitude of the secondary wavelets are maximum in the forward direction and it is 0 in the backward direction. By this assumption, he explained the absence of the back wave. That is the envelope of the secondary wavelets emanating from F1, F2. The envelope of the secondary wavelets emanating from F1, F2 that produces the forward moving wavefront G1, G2. But the back wave D1, D2 does not exist. Okay, so this does not exist. That is why I have drawn it with the dotted lines. So, the absence of this back wave D1, D2 does not exist actually. The absence of this back wave, it is really justified from more vigorous wave theories. In a similar manner, we can use the Huygens principle to determine the shape of the wavefront for a plane wave propagating through a medium. Here we have actually considered the spherical wave propagating through a medium. So, we can, the same things we can use. In the similar manner, which we used in this case, in the similar manner, we can use a Huygens principle to determine the shape of the wavefront for a plane wave propagating through a medium. Let's see how to apply this Huygens principle, or how to use this Huygens principle to determine the shape of the wavefront for a plane wave propagating through a medium. So, let us see how to use this Huygens principle to determine the shape of the wavefront for a plane wave propagating through a medium. So, here F1, F2 is a plane wavefront at t equal to 0. Just like we said, each point of the wavefront, or on this wavefront, A1, B1, C1, D1, etc. Each point on this wavefront will act as a source of the secondary wavelets. Okay, so if you want to determine the shape of the wavefront at a later time, say t equal to tau, what we want to do? We just want to draw spheres of radius v tau. That is, we already said why we are drawing the spheres of radius v tau, because the distance traveled is actually equal to the speed into time. Okay, so the speed of that wavelet, let it be v, then the time is tau here. So the distance traveled is actually what, v into tau, that is v tau. So first of all, we want to draw spheres of radius v tau by taking these points as the centers. That is, first of all, we want to draw a sphere of radius v tau by taking this point A1 as a center. So we are getting a portion of that sphere here. Okay, actually when we draw a sphere, there is portion is here, but we are not considering that thing because backward doesn't exist, no. So we are not considering this much portion of that the secondary wavelet. We are only considering this portion of the spherical wavelet in the forward direction. Alright, next we want to draw another sphere of radius. The radius from here to here, this distance will be equal to v tau. Okay, now we want to draw another sphere with this point B1 as a center, and that sphere also must have the same radius v tau. So let this be the portion of that secondary wavelet with the radius v tau with this point B1 as a center. Okay, so in this case also we have actually the portion of that secondary wavelet somewhere here, but we are not considering this portion because we already said backward doesn't exist, that's why. Okay, next we want to draw another secondary wavelet. We want to draw another sphere of radius v tau by taking this point C1 as the center. Then again, by taking this point D1 as the center, we want to draw another spherical a sphere here. Okay, now what we want to do? We want to draw a common tangent to all these spheres. That tangent must pass us through all these spheres. Okay, that tangent must joins all the tangents of the spheres. That's why. Okay, that line must join all the tangents of the spheres. All the the tangents of each sphere. Okay, so we want to draw a common tangent to all these spheres in the forward direction. So here I am drawing a tangent to all these spheres. Okay, let this be that tangent. Okay, I am just naming it as G1, G2. So we just want to draw the tangent to all these spheres. So we will get what? We will get another wavefront G1, G2 like this. Okay, since backward doesn't exist, we don't want to consider this portion. Okay, these portions of the secondary wavelets on this side. Okay, we won't want to consider the portion of the secondary wavelets on this side. Actually, these are spheres now. So the portions of the secondary wavelets are here too. But we don't want to consider the portions of the secondary wavelets on this side because backward doesn't exist. We want to consider the only the forward secondary, the portions of the forward secondary wavelets. Okay. Now, the lines A1, I'm taking this point as A2, this point as B2, I'm taking this point as C2 and this point as D2. That is, when I draw a straight line, okay, I will get A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, D1, D2 like that. Okay, let this be a straight line. Alright, so the lines A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, D1, D2 are actually normal to the two plane wavefronts F1, F2 and G1, G2. So here actually we are getting the plane wavefronts in the forward direction. No, so we just want to mark an arrow here. Okay, we got the plane wavefront G1, G2 at a later time t equal to tau in the forward direction. We haven't considered that wavefront in the backward direction because backward doesn't exist. So here we got another wavefront at a t equal to tau, that is at a later time t equal to tau in the forward direction. So we just marked an arrow like that in the forward direction, like that in this direction now. So we mark the arrows like this. Alright, so actually these lines A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, D1, D2. Okay, A1, A2 is here, B1, B2 is here, C1, C2, D1, D2. These lines actually represent the parallel rays corresponding to the plane wave. Because we already said the rays of light will be perpendicular to the plane wavefront. Not the plane wavefront, wavefront. Or wavefronts will be perpendicular to the rays of light. So here we have the parallel, here we have the plane wavefronts now. So the rays of light, the corresponding rays of light will be what? Perpendicular to this. You see, this makes 90-degree angle here, no? Okay, so these lines A1, A2, B1, B2 or these rays. Okay, here we put an arrow mark now, so we can consider this as a ray. So these rays or these lines actually represent the parallel rays of light corresponding to this plane wave. So in this video, we have discussed about the wavefronts, wavelets, then Huygens principle. According to Huygens principle, the wavefront is a source, each point of the wavefront is a source of secondary disturbance, and these, and the wavelets emanating from these points spread out in all directions with the speed of the wave, and these wavelets emanating from the wavefront are usually referred to as secondary wavelets. And if we draw a common tangent to all these spheres, we obtain a new position of the wavefront at a later time. Okay, I hope you understood this. Thank you.